Happy Sunday, everyone. So it is currently Sunday morning. You're going to be watching this video in a few hours. I did not film this video this morning. You will see my hair is completely different in a few minutes. However, you'll see at the beginning of the video, it's kind of hectic. The washing machine was going crazy. I was a little bit all over the place and I completely forgot to do an introduction. Like I didn't even say hi. I just like sat down and like started the video, which is really strange. Like I said, I was all over the place. So this week's video is basically going to be me going through the 5 main reasons why you might not be seeing progress. So these are the 5 kind of mistakes that people do often make throughout their fitness journey and that I personally made that make them kind of question like why they're not making any progress. But I just thought if I kind of iron these out, it kind of helps anyone else not have to kind of make the mistakes that I did. So I hope you guys do enjoy the video and I'll see you next week. It's gonna be so hot. Yep, burnt my mouth. Is that washing machine really loud? Have I had that on for the whole time? Oh, I'm gonna have to shut that door one sec. Right, there we go. Now the washing machine is turned off. So the first mistake that a lot of people make that mean that they're not reaching their fitness goals is that they're not nailing their diet. So this kind of means a few things. So in order to be nailing your diet, it really depends on your goals, but I'm gonna kind of break it down if your goal is fat loss. So if your goal is fat loss, you need to be in a calorie deficit. You can be going to the gym, training as hard as possible. However, if you're not eating in a calorie deficit, you won't be losing weight. So calorie deficit basically means that you are intaking less calories through your food, through your drinks, than you are exerting and burning throughout the day. So when I say exerting and burning throughout the day, that doesn't just mean your gym workout. A lot of people kind of sit there and think like, but I'm eating 1,800 calories, but I'm only burning like 600 on my Apple Watch. How does that make sense? So you burn calories all throughout the day through your daily steps, through genuinely just breathing. Like when you're breathing, when you're moving, even when I'm reaching for my cup of tea, my body is using energy to do that. So it's gonna be burning off calories while it's just doing things like that. So this is when I kind of say that tracking is a very useful tool to reach your goals, because you can be going to the gym, like I said, and absolutely murdering yourself. However, if you're not eating the right calories to help you lose body fat, you can just end up kind of sitting in a bit of a plateau. That was something that I did for a lot of years. I would go to the gym and train loads, but I wouldn't be eating the right stuff in order to see the right progress. Alongside that, I also mean that when you're eating within your calories, you need to be eating the right stuff. So you need to be eating a high level of protein, which is going to help your muscles build and repair. You need to be eating carbs because you're going to need the energy. You need to be eating all your micronutrients, which is all your vegetables, because they're just so good for you. So if you're eating rubbish within those calories and you're just using up your daily calories to eat Percy Pigs, a Domino's, a Burger King, you're gonna be feeling rubbish. You're not gonna be utilizing your food to help you train and reach the best results. So yeah, you really need to be nailing your diet. And I think that's probably the most common mistake, is that people think that the gym will just kind of do the work for them. However, your nutrients and your food is far more important than what you do in the gym. So the next common mistake that a lot of people make is that they're not actually tracking their food properly. So this is for my boys and girls that do track their food. And this is a mistake that I made so much. And basically what I mean by that is that you are tracking your meals fine, you're tracking your snacks. However, you're not tracking the kind of nibbles that you eat throughout the day. And I'm really guilty of this even now. Like I'm very, very bad at picking sometimes. So say for example, in the day, throughout the day, maybe sometimes 4 or 5 times a day, I will end up going over to the Biscoff and just having a spoonful of Biscoff. Having 1 spoonful isn't that bad. However, if you're going back and having 5 spoonfuls of Biscoff every single day, that can add up, and those small calories that you're just picking at, and Biscoff's just an example. I do it a lot with cereals or with crisps or even with little bits of chocolate, like chocolate chips. I just pick at them. However, if I actually put those all together in a bowl, weigh them out and track the calories, they can potentially add up to like an excess of like 100 or 200 calories every single day, which can actually end up bringing you out of your deficit and into maintenance, or even potentially sometimes a surplus if you're me and you do literally love a snack. So like I said, I don't mean if you just kind of have like the one-off thing, that's probably not going to make that difference. However, if you do find yourself picking a lot throughout the day, throughout every single day of the week, that is going to add up and it is unfortunately going to make a difference. So that's what I mean by not tracking properly. It's kind of the letting certain things slide because they're only small little nibbles. However, if you did pop them all in a bowl and add them up every single day over the week, they probably could add up to an excess of like 700 calories every single week. So that is, of course, like I said, going to bring you out of your deficit, probably up to maintenance, so your body's not going to be in an optimal position to be losing weight and burning fat. Another thing which can lead you to not tracking properly, which again I'm also guilty of, is kind of eyeballing things. Like over time, sometimes I kind of think like, oh, like I'm not actually going to weigh this out, like I know what this will be. However, my version of 30 grams of Cocoa Pops, I will tell you now, is probably about 60 grams of Cocoa Pops in reality. So when I am tracking and trying to be accurate, it's really important not to eyeball stuff and probably just get your scales out and weigh it out, because like I said, it's going to be a bit more accurate. It's a little bit more effort. But if you do want to be getting the best results, unfortunately, you do need to be tracking a lot more accurately. Then the third common mistake that a lot of people do make is that they overcomplicate or overtrain. In order for your training plan to be effective, it needs to be basic. I used to think that you needed to go to the gym and do at least 12 different exercises, 25 minutes of cardio, but it is not like that, trust me. Like one thing that I learned working with my PT last year was that like the more basic it is, the better. You need to have a basic workout plan that consists of about 6 probably maximum exercises, and you need to follow that workout plan for at least 2 months to get the most results. Again, another thing I used to do was go in the next week and be like, oh, well, I did that last week, I need to do something completely different. You need to be training using the same exercises so your body gets used to the movements, but then progressing the weight throughout the weeks. I will touch on that for another point. But yeah, you need to be keeping it pretty basic, not overcomplicating it, and not overtraining as well. If you're overtraining throughout the weeks, you're more likely to build a negative relationship with it, because you're going to be so exhausted. You're going to be pushing yourself to the gym when you don't want to go. Then when you're there, you're going to be absolutely hating it, and then you're going to like fall off the bandwagon and therefore not be making as much progress as you can, because you have these kind of periods of going loads and really overtraining and overworking, and then not going at all because you're so sick of it and you don't want to do it again. And your relationship with the gym is that it's a place where you like overwork yourself, feel extremely tired, and you just generally don't want to be there. So yeah, try not to overcomplicate or overtrain throughout your dieting phase. So now we lead on to number 4. Number 4 is a big one for me. I feel like this one's quite personal. A lot of people do have a similar problem with this, and it is taking the weekends off. I struggle with this a lot, and it's really, really hard. But ultimately, in order to achieve the best results and get the most out of your dieting phase or whatever phase you are in, you need to be consistent. Consistency also does unfortunately involve Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I know it's hard, and the thing is that doesn't mean that you don't get a social life and you don't get to relax on the weekends. It does mean that. However, it means navigating those social events and kind of intertwining them with your fitness goals and like aligning the two of them. So for example, with that, I mean, if you're going out on the weekend, you want to go out on the Saturday night, you want to go out for a meal, it means incorporating that meal into your calories, accounting for it, and then also accounting for your hangover day the next day, because trust me, they are the worst. I am so guilty of going out on a Saturday night, eating really good all week, and then on the Sunday being like, oh, well, I've been really good all week, so I'm going to have a bit of a treat on my hangover. However, this is when calories come into play again. Having a hangover treat can really negatively impact your dieting phase. So say an example of like my kind of hangover day, I'm going to like shame myself here, is I'd get up and have, say, like a full English breakfast. Say that's like, I don't know, 900 calories. Then later on in the day, have some snacks throughout the day because I love chocolate on hangover. Also, can I say there's nothing wrong with this once in a while, but it is a common mistake that a lot of people don't really realise can have as big of an impact on your dieting phase. So say, yeah, it gets the afternoon, I then want to have a Domino's. That can probably account for, say, like 3,000 calories. Then later on in the evening, I probably have a lot more snacks, which probably account for like 1,000 more calories. Genuinely, that is how my hangover days normally go. I have no shame in it, like you need it at the time, but they do not benefit me when I'm trying to lose weight or when I'm in a calorie deficit. Because say I add up all of those calories, that's probably like 5,000 calories on that day. Take away the calories that I'm supposed to be on, say I was eating at like 2,000 calories. That means that throughout that day, I've actually eaten 3,000 calories over my calorie deficit, which means it's taking me out of a maintenance and it's taking me into a surplus, which is a position you want to be in if you want to gain weight. So hopefully just from explaining that, you can kind of see that just having a harmless hangover day can actually have an effect. Again, I'm going to stress again, it is okay to have these days. However, if you're trying to nail your consistency and really be progressing, having a hangover day like that every single Sunday, every week of the month can actually mean that you're not even in a deficit for the whole month. Because think of those calories being spread over every single day, especially if you're only in a slight deficit, it is going to drag you out of it. So you might look back on your month and think, I was really good all 5 days of the week, and then on the weekend I did kind of let it go a little bit, but these are the kind of things that like I used to say a lot, and when you actually look back on it, you were actually dragging yourself completely out of that deficit on the weekend. So it doesn't mean that you can't go out and have fun. It just means that you need to be a little bit more accountable. Still enjoy your hangover treats, maybe just account for them and incorporate them in a slightly better way. So say for example, if you did want to have a pizza on your hangover, because trust me, that is all I want to have on hangover, you can get amazing low-carb pizzas. So my favorite ones at the moment are from Muscle Food. They're actually high protein and low calorie, so that's going to be really good because you're also hitting your level of protein even though you are hungover. It just takes a little bit more pre-planning. Like I said, it happens, we all have these days. However, this was something that I used to do every single weekend, and then I'd be like, calorie deficits don't work, it doesn't really make any sense. But I was never actually in a calorie deficit because every single weekend on a Saturday and Sunday I was drinking and eating enough to bring me out of the deficit on the days that I had been. And finally, mistake number 5 that's also made is that you're not implementing progressive overload. You need to be training in progressive overload to keep shocking your muscles. So what I mean by that is that every single week you need to be kind of increasing your training and kind of ramping up in some sort of way. A lot of people think this just means increasing your weights. However, if you think about that logically, it's actually impossible. You cannot be increasing your weight every single week, because if you have, and you've been training for 2 years, you're going to be lifting like 5,000 kilograms, which just isn't going to happen. So it doesn't just mean increasing your weight. It can definitely mean that, and it's a good way to kind of look at it if you're like definitely a beginner in training. But it can also mean things like increasing reps, or decreasing rest time is a really good one that I tried to start to work on before my surgery. So that basically means decreasing the amount of time you take resting between your sets. So I used to take 60 seconds, and I started to work that down to around about 30 seconds because that's going to increase the intensity of my training. It's all about keeping your body constantly in shock essentially, and not letting it get used to or letting it be complacent throughout your training program. I think the best way to think about it is just that every single week you need to be making it slightly tougher for yourself, whether that's through increasing your reps, increasing your weights, or like I said, decreasing your rest time and increasing the intensity of your exercise. You just need to keep your body second guessing basically, like never let it know what's coming. You always need to kind of give it a little bit of a surprise. So guys, I have basically finished my cup of tea. I have actually finished it, and those are my top 5 mistakes to try and avoid. I know I kind of directed it in a kind of calorie deficit and kind of like fat loss angle. However, these kind of like mistakes are generically used across like a lot of different training. So whether that's increasing your weight and you're in a calorie surplus, or even eating at maintenance, they can all kind of be applied to that. Hopefully those 5 common mistakes that I personally made and still make to this day, like trust me, you will always make some kind of mistakes throughout your fitness journey. Like not every single week is going to be perfect, but hopefully by kind of like ironing those out, you guys can almost take a bit of reflection and have a look at your current training style and see whether you guys need to make any adjustments. Maybe you're not taking accountability for some things, like tracking super consistently, and hopefully then it will help you reach your fitness goals. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next Sunday.